Have you ever noticed how artists and designers talk about color? They're so specific. Well, today we're going to crack that code. We're breaking down the real difference between a hue, a tint, and a shade, so you can start seeing the world of color in a whole new way.
I mean, think about it. What really is the difference between maroon, pink, and just red? They all come from the same family, right? But they feel totally different. One's deep and rich, one's light and soft, and the other's just bright and bold. This is the exact puzzle we're going to solve, and trust me, by the end of this, it'll all make perfect sense.
Okay, so to understand all these different versions of a color, we have to go right back to the beginning. And in the world of color, the beginning is always the pure hue.
So, what is a hue? It's simply the purest, most vibrant version of a color you can imagine. It's what you see on a basic color wheel. We're talking pure red, pure blue, pure yellow. There's no white mixed in, no black, nothing. Think of it as the original parent of an entire color family. This is our ground zero. So, you might be wondering, well, what about black, white, and gray? And this is a really key point. They are not hues. We call them neutrals. They don't have their own color family. Instead, they're the tools we use to change and modify the hues we start with. So let's start using those tools. What happens if we take a pure hue and we want to make it lighter, softer, more delicate? Well, that's where tints come in. A tint is just what we call a lighter version of a hue. So you take that pure, vibrant red we talked about, you lighten it up, and you get pink. You take a pure green, lighten it, and you get a soft mint color. That's why you often hear tints called pastels. They're the same thing. And the formula for this? It could not be easier. You just take a pure hue and add white. That's it. The more white you mix in, the lighter and softer that tint is going to get. Simple as that. I love this analogy. Imagine a strong cup of black coffee. That's your hue. Now, you pour in some cream. It's still coffee, right? You haven't changed what it is, but it's become much, much lighter. That cream is acting just like white paint, creating a tint of that original coffee color. Okay, so adding white gives us tints and makes things lighter. So what do you think happens when we want to go in the other direction and make a color darker? Well, that's when we start making shades. A shade is how we add all that depth and richness to a color. Let's go back to our red. If you start darkening that pure red, you end up with a deep, dramatic maroon or burgundy. If you darken blue, you get navy. That's a shade. And just like with tints, the formula is beautifully simple. You take your pure hue, and this time, you just add black. And the more black you add, the deeper and more intense that shade becomes. This one's a great way to picture it, too. You have a glass of juice, that's your hue. Then you add just one drop of black food coloring. The drink is still juice, its core identity is the same, but the color is suddenly so much deeper and darker. You've created a shade. All right, so we've got our three core concepts down: the pure hue, the lighter tint, and the darker shade. Let's put them all side by side so we can get a super clear picture of how it all works. And here it is, the whole shebang in one place. You start with a hue, that's your pure base color. You add white to it, and you get a tint, which makes it lighter, like pink. Or you add black to that same hue, and you get a shade, which makes it darker, like maroon. The key thing to remember is that you can't have a tint or a shade without first starting with a pure hue. And hey, here's a little bonus for you. What about tone? Well, if a tint is adding white and a shade is adding black, a tone is what you get when you add gray. Adding gray doesn't just make a color lighter or darker, it makes it more muted and subtle. Think of colors like sage green or dusty rose. Those are tones. So now you know. The next time you're trying to pick a paint color or describe something you saw, you can be way more specific. It's not just light red anymore, it's a tint of red. It's not just dark blue, it's a shade of blue. This is the actual language of visual art and design. So now that you speak it, how are you going to use it?